Hey, folks, welcome into the Midstate 48 for week number 3. Chris Brooks alongside Cam Reed and Scott Burton. Welcome in to our little weekly show.
Good afternoon.
Gentlemen, good evening to you.
Good evening.
Always throwing me a curveball, Cam. Nice job. Week 3 region play starts this week for a lot of teams. So we kind of figure out starting now where a lot of teams are in 2022. Let's just go ahead and jump right in. Give me a couple of teams that you're looking at for this week to learn a little bit more about, if you would. Scott, we'll start with you.
Probably the biggest question I have is Davidson Academy. They didn't have a game week 1. Week 2, they played Boyd Buchanan and just didn't, for one way or another, just didn't perform well. I'm really interested to see where this team is at. And we'll get a better idea after this week against FRA, just where Davidson Academy is at and what, how good the Bears are.
Yeah, I'm going to cheat a little bit. I'm going to go more than one team. I'm going to go with a region, and that is Region 4 2A. They all play each other this week. East Robertson plays at Trousdale County. Watertown plays at Westmoreland, and Whites Creek and Harpeth play each other. Harpeth off to a really good start, best start since 2009, I believe. Trousdale County off to the first 0-2 start since 1987. East Robertson really like what they've been able to do on the offensive side of the ball in the first 2 weeks. And, of course, that big matchup that we will be covering Thursday night with Westmoreland and Watertown. The winner of that one has the inside track at a region championship. So I'm really excited about that region and what we will find out this week.
Yeah, Cam, I'm glad you brought up Harpeth because I'm really interested to see just how good that team is.
Yeah, it may take us a couple of more weeks to find out about Harpeth, given that they're playing Whites Creek, and then they'll play East Robertson in 2 weeks, in week 5, and I think that's kind of when we're going to find out if Harpeth is a region contender as well. If they are, then that means somebody's getting bumped from the playoff discussion this year, and it could be very interesting in that region for sure. Yeah, that's one I'm going to keep my eye on as well. A lot of Thursday night games this week, and one that we'll be at. I'll be over in DeKalb County for their region opener against Macon County. That is our Spotlight Series game of the week on Thursday. It'll be brought to you by Innovate Medical. So I want to thank them for sponsoring that game this week. And we will have DeKalb County head coach Steve Trapp on in the next segment to talk about that game this week as well. Week 2 didn't have as many surprises as week 1 did. I think we started kind of seeing some things play out a little bit more like we expected. What stood out to you from last week's games, guys?
I'll take
Cam,
the first game I'll talk about is the Blackman and Gallatin game. We really had questions about that Blackman offense after that not-so-great performance against Brentwood in Week 1, failure to finish drives there on the road against the Bruins. They rebounded last week, and Coach Tigard actually converted a couple onside kicks, knowing that he had to get some points on the board to make it more difficult on the Green Wave, knowing that the Green Wave had power football in their mind, control the clock, control the game. Gallatin pulled close. Blackman got up 28-7 in that game, 28-8 in that game. And then Gallatin came all the way back to make it 28-27. They went back and forth. Blackman winds up winning 42-33, I believe was the final. Just a big win for the Blaze to get back on track. The offense started rolling. They got another test this week against a team that we're not sure about there in Riverdale. So that's one of our 10 games we'll talk about later, but that's a big game in Rutherford County this week.
One game I'd like to talk about, or one team I'd like to talk about, if you didn't see him, and if you didn't, blame ESPN, is Lipscomb Academy. I want to talk a little bit about that defense. They're down, and we all know that Lipscomb has a very powerful offense. We hear all the time about that. Their defense can sometimes be overshadowed, and in this particular game, the pick six, the fumble, 99-yard fumble recovery is what won them the game. Their defense actually stepped up and then still managed to shut down Thompson for the rest of the way. So, give a little credit to the Lipscomb defense. that team is just scary good on all phases of the game, and I think that the biggest problem I saw out of that whole game was the fact that the four-letter network couldn't figure out a way to get the game showing on time, or manage even to get it on the right streaming platform. so, the good thing is that you didn't miss the highlights of it. If
That's
you're watching
exactly
from
right, Scott. Because I didn't get the game on until 10 minutes left to go in the third quarter. Is when I finally got it to be able to pull up, and the score was 14-3. So we got to see all the good stuff for the team that we were rooting for. So
yeah, the other game that was the one I was at was the Pearl Cone NBA game. Pearl's played two tough teams. You know, Cane Ridge is no pushover, and NBA is just NBA. And what really, really impressed me was how good NBA is on defense. And their linebackers flew to the ball. They managed to keep Malachi Cromwell contained and Kennard contained, and how good that defense was for NBA. But Pearl, if they don't lose focus, these two games will shape the team. You know, iron sharpens iron, right? You go against the big teams to be able to play in the postseason. I think Pearl, as long as they don't get lost in the mentality or start playing the blame game, they're going to end up okay, and they're actually probably going to be better for it.
Yeah, these first two games, I think were more a product of two teams taking out their frustrations for last year's losses out on Pearl Cone.
You're probably
right.
Anything
else, because let's be honest here, Cane Ridge is better than expected and probably going to be one of the higher ranked teams in 6A before it's all said and done. NBA is a top 3 team in the state right now, in my opinion.
You know, one other team that I want to mention right now that we've not really talked about, really flown under the radar with a 2-0 start, is Station Camp. Station Camp with a big win week 1 against White House with a 3-score win. On the road last week in a tough week 2 region game at Hillsboro. You know, a big game in week 2 that will play factors into the playoffs. And Station Camp gets it done on the road by 3 scores again in that one. The Bison is a team flying under the radar just like they did last year.
Yeah, yep. I think you're right, and I'm guilty as charged. You want to see consistency. Well, they're giving you consistency. It was last year. Now we're looking at this year, and Coach Alexander's got that team playing and got that culture going.
Yeah. Another one that I want to look at. Of course, I didn't get to cover any games because I was in East Tennessee last weekend. Was Lebanon's 43-3 win over Wilson Central. That was a shocking result to me. That's a rivalry game that tends to be close, and Lebanon lambasting Wilson Central like that. Hillsboro's got to feel all right about their chances to beat Wilson Central and get in the playoffs this year, despite losing to Station Camp. This Wilson Central team, they're going to have to figure it out quickly, or else this season could get away from them in a hurry. But Lebanon is as advertised and probably even better.
Yeah, I mean, Wilson Central is a young team. They're putting their team back together. It just depends on how they gel. I mean, in all honesty, how quickly those young kids can come together. But you're absolutely right, Chris. Lebanon, that's throwing lambs to the wolves at this point. Lebanon is just
they are one of
good.
the bona fide teams in 6A. You cannot take a playoff against the Blue Devils, whether it be when you're on offense, when you're on defense, when you're kicking the ball off, when you're punting the ball, when you're even attempting a field goal. You cannot take plays off against the Blue Devils because they will make you pay and put points on the scoreboard in a hurry.
Yeah, you better lock the locker room door or they'll come in and steal your shoes.
And there is a Blue Devil on our list of finalists for Player of the Week presented by Miracle Auto Group, so let's go ahead and get that bit of business out of the way as well. Let's look at the 7 that we have on that list this week. Again, thanks to Miracle Auto Group for providing the sponsorship for that this season. Lebanon's Jalen Abston, Smyrna's Arian Carter, Ty Clocker III from FRA. The second time he's been on this list. Kate Hewitt from Oakland, Thomas Jones from Smyrna, Drew Scott from Brentwood Academy, And Deuce Scott gets the fans' vote. It was a close one, about 60 votes. Scott went with Deuce Scott. Cam also went with Deuce Scott. Tom was the one that took a different approach this week as he went with Cade Hewitt. And it's already official, but I just went ahead and added Deuce Scott's name to my vote as well. So congratulations to Brentwood Academy's Deuce Scott for winning the Miracle Auto Group Player of the Week for week number 2. We've got some hardware to get to you, and we'll be around to do that very, very soon. So congratulations to Deuce Scott. 230 yards on the ground, 3 touchdowns, and a touchdown reception against CPA, and a big win for Brentwood Academy in week number 2. So very impressive performance for that young man, and a great story with him too. He has had some hearing difficulties and has been able to overcome that to become an absolute beast in the backfield for the Eagles. He is one of the best players in that position in this area.
Yes, that was my Told You So game last week out of our top 10. And, I had a chance to watch that one on YouTube as Brentwood Academy was streaming that game for everyone. And, it was just too hard to pick against him. I mean, they win the game 28-17. He's responsible for all 4 touchdowns, over 230 yards on the ground. He controlled that football game, him and that offensive line. They really took it physically to CPA. The lines hung in there, but at the end it was just too much Eagles.
You put 230 up on CPA's defense, and that's doing something. You hang that stat line on the wall, put it on a T-shirt, because that doesn't happen often. And to me, that was the kicker.
Yep. Let's hear from our sponsors, Miracle Auto Group, as they are the title sponsor for both the Player of the Week award and this show.
Are you ready? Are you ready for a miracle?
Wait! With current inventory shortages, how do you find a deal? Pre-order and build it your way, then get 5% off MSRP, but only when you pre-order now. New 2022 Jeep Gladiator and Jeep Grand Cherokee L. Labor Day sales event at Miracle Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram in Gallatin. Build it your way to get 5% off MSRP.
Are you ready for a miracle?
DeKalb County head coach Steve Trapp on the line with us, talking about Thursday night's game with Macon County. It's our Spotlight Series game of the week. And, Coach, appreciate you taking some time with us. I know you guys are getting busy with a short week. How's everything going so far for y'all?
It's going good. We can't ask for a better start to the season as far as record goes. We've battled, but we've come out on top in both of our first 2 games. But playing on Thursday night, and we played a few Thursday night games, but it was always something that got changed in the middle of the week. So it's basically the first one where we pretty much just backed everything up a day. So we've got our full work weekend. It'll probably feel more weird on Friday morning, not knowing that you're playing Friday night, than it will be on Thursday. But we're excited to be able to play.
Yeah, the game at Carthage last week against Smith County, a physical group up front. Talk to me about that game as far as how your linemen handled it, because as big as that group is, you're not going to see that much size pretty much for the rest of the year, right?
Well, I got that question a lot. I did interviews almost every day last week, and that's the first thing that was said. And, and it's true. It's a big group across the board. They're a good football team, good defensively, good offensively, and they do have some size. And, my only remark to that was, well, just make sure you look at our roster also. My 2 tackles are 6'5" and 6'6", and my 2 guards are 6'2", but they're 270 or better. And then my center is my smallest guy. He's 6'2", but he's 250, and he's probably the meanest one I've got. But those guys held their own. They did their job. They probably was a little bit tired of hearing how big the other team was. And, at the end of the day, it was a physical contest and a good ball game, especially if you're a fan. Not so much as a coach, maybe, probably a few more gray hairs I have in my beard now. But, our guys was up to the task. They knew it was going to be a physical contest. They knew what kind of ball game it needed to be. And that's what they did for us. And just really proud of our guys, because they just continued to play no matter the situation, good or bad, whatever may have happened on the play. They was just ready to go for the next one.
Yeah, and a close game, too. 17-14 win. Obviously, good for your kids to win that type of game. But like you said, it has to be nerve-wracking considering what's coming up next with Macon County and the way this rivalry has gone over the last couple of years. How do you get into a game like this without any sort of distractions?
Well, really, it's just business as usual. We understand the implications of it being the first region game, and what's at stake as far as potentially being able to play at home, potentially still being in the running for a region championship. So that all starts the first week of region. So, we don't hide that fact from our guys, but we don't make it about that. It's still simply a football game, just like the first two that we played. So you still have to put in the work. You have to go through that process. You have to prepare. And you have to understand that you just got to take one play at a time and do the best you can. And, we won't know the situation as far as win, loss, region, record, or any of that until the game is over. So we can't, lose focus or anything like that. Worrying about what's at stake. We just got to keep it simple and, do what we're supposed to do, how we're supposed to do it, and simply just go play a football game.
Some of the key players have changed on both sides with your kids as well as Macon County's kids from last year. But everybody's still expecting this to be a close ball game considering how well these two teams kind of know each other. What's your take on what you've seen from Macon County's roster and how they're playing so far?
Well, they're undefeated as well. They started off 2-0 also, had some close ball games. They over the last couple of years, especially since Coach Shoulders has been there, they've got a stingy defense and then that wing tee. And, it's a challenge. The biggest challenge is trying to reproduce it through the week. Hopefully it's a challenge to reproduce what we do also, but yeah, the last couple of years, it's went down to under a minute to decide who was going to win this thing. So, we don't expect anything less than that. It's like our guys understand that, you got to go play, and you got to play all 48 minutes and one play could be the difference in the game. And it could be one play early, it could be one play in the middle, it could be one play late. So, that's kind of how we've talked to our guys and, we're expecting a great atmosphere and a fun night of football this Thursday.
Scott was asking about Briss Trapp and Malachi Trapp and the start of their season so far and how they've come along in their development.
It's been exciting. I think there's 6 Trapps on our roster, including myself. So, but those guys, Briz has, done a lot of work with his feet. He's got great potential to throw the ball. Also, Malachi is proven to, make some big plays for us. He had 2 touchdowns called back the other night. And then the first game he had a big score for us. Holden Trapp, he's another one. He had 2 kickoff returns in the first game. So he's been doing a good job for us also. But, Malachi come to us right there at the end of June. Actually was in Marshall County last year. But, so he's still, through July and fall camp there trying to get his beat on everything. But, he hasn't been a starter, but he's going to be a starter this week. And, we've been swapping him in and out offensively, but we got to make sure he's on the field as often as he can be because he tends to make things happen when the ball gets in his hands. So, so those guys are doing a good job for us.
Gabe Borders from Macon County has went over 100 yards in yardage first couple of weeks as well. Also on special teams had a 93-yard kickoff return. So how do you slow him down, not just on special teams as well as defensively?
Good back. Really making a lot of things happen. Done some things in the pass game also. So we've noticed everything that he's accomplished and what his team's accomplished around him. So he's definitely on our radar. But, it comes down to making sure that we do our job. If we can eliminate some of his touches, maybe in special teams and things like that, then definitely that's something that we'll try. But, he's going to get his touches on the offensive side of the ball. So defensively, we just got to make sure that we're fitting it right, get our eyes in the right spot and, make sure we're supposed to be where we're supposed to be on defense and then just gang tackle. You got to make sure you get to the ball and get as many of our jerseys there as we can.
When we talked in the offseason and coaches in Q, you mentioned how you were still trying to fill assistant coach spots. How has that come along since we've talked in May?
We were able to hire some guys. We hired 2 guys. One of them's a former player of mine, Cole Parsley. He played offensive line for us, so we was able to get him into school teaching English and coaching with us. So it's good to have these guys that, used to play for me coming back in. So I've got my O-line coach, Luke Green. He played for me also and played center. So my 2 offensive line coaches both played center for me at different times. And Kason Wheeler is the other guy that we hired, and he currently lives in Cookville. I think he actually played his high school ball in Red Bull and Springs. But He had some ties to DeKalb County, so we kind of mutually met that way, and he was interested in coaching, and we had a spot, so we've got him down here with us also. He kind of leads our JV team on offense, and then works with the DBs also on defense. So we were able to fill some spots. Would have liked to have one more, but that just didn't come to fruition.
Yeah. Also, new for this year for you guys, that new scoreboard that we talked about during the off season. How's everybody liking it, and how cool of an addition has it been for you guys so far?
It's been really fun. I mean, the middle school got to play at home before anybody else did, and so we had it up and running and all that. And the next day, I was getting phone calls and emails about people asking how they could get involved, on board on it, advertise on it. So and middle school, we just simply run ads, so it's not as interactive as it is on Friday nights. And we're still learning the new things that we can do it and use it for. But yeah, it helps create a great atmosphere. It's there. I know the Coach Dyer at Smith County actually gave me a call after he watched our film, and two things he asked. He's like, well, how do you get your scoreboard on your film? And then tell me about this Jumbotron y'all got, so we talked a little bit about that, and, just told him how we went about doing it. And, hopefully it's something that they can accomplish too. It's good for the kids. It's good for the community. It's good for our program financially, a lot of different ways that we can use it. So we're really enjoying that addition.
Well, I know one thing. I'm looking forward to getting over there and seeing it in person Thursday night. So I'll be sure to get there early and take a good look at it. So
definitely.
Yeah.
I may have to get a welcome 615 Preps thing up there.
We can hook you up with that. I'm sure we can.
You hit me up with something, I'll get you up there.
All right, sounds good. Well, we're over there because of you guys winning Helmet Madness back in March. So we want to make sure that we do this right for you guys. Yes. Congratulations on that first off. Hopefully, I have a little something to present to you when I get over there Thursday, but we'll see.
Definitely.
Looking forward to that game on Thursday night, and good luck to you and the Tigers, Coach. Appreciate you hopping on with us this week.
I appreciate you letting me come on and then talk about our program.
All right. Before we get to who you got, let's hear from our spotlight sponsor for this week, Innovate Medical. It is that time of the week where we try to tell you who we think is going to win some of the biggest games around the area. It is time for Who You Got. Pulling up these stats from week two, and it was a lot better than week one. I'm very happy to say that we had a much better week across the board than in week one.
Yeah, a couple of us needed rebound weeks.
Yes, we did. I know I was one of them. So very happy to go 8-2 and get myself out of the basement. Unfortunately, that put Reggie there, but he's used to it.
Oh, Reggie doesn't care. That's where he does his best hunting.
No. All right, let's quickly go over last week's picks. Scott had DeKalb County over Smith County, and he told us so, and Cam had BA over CPA on that one. Yep. The next batch of games, Tom and I had Blackman over Gallatin. Most of us had Station Camp over Hillsboro. Watertown won over Gordonsville. And Reggie tried to go with Westmoreland over Macon County. That didn't work out too well for him. And everybody had MBA over Pearl Cone. Overall, we're all doing all right.
Yeah.
Pretty tight there at the top through 2 weeks. Couple of extra told you so's for Tom, even though he slid into a tie for third. But
this is about the time that This is about the time that I usually just start to fall apart.
Well, let's not fall apart at this point. Let's get into our picks for this week. Starting with DCA at Friendship Christian. Friendship Christian looks every bit the part of a state contender, and DCA having been the defending Division II Single A state champion, looking to try to bounce back after a rough start in week one, a loss at Middle Tennessee Christian. They had a big bounce back win over Ezo Harding, but this is going to be their first test since week one. And Reggie's on DCA, but the rest of us are taking the Commanders at home in this one. Guys, what are you looking at in this game?
Well, what I'm looking at is I'm looking to see Garrett Weekly, their senior quarterback over there at that Friendship, and Brock Montgomery, who is a huge target. He's averaging 111 yards a game receiving on 6 receptions. So I mean, they are potent on offense. He's got an explosive team. Question is going to be how their defense is.
Yeah, the big test for the Commanders this week. I believe at halftime of this game, the game won't be out of hand. Week 1, Friendship was up 34-0 at halftime in Charleston County. Last week they were up 46-0 at the end of the first quarter. They are extremely potent, but I believe DCA makes them earn it this week. But I believe the Commanders are still eager to prove that they are the team to beat in Division 2 1A.
Yeah. DCA is going to be there. They're going to be there at the end. They've got a new quarterback who's a sophomore. He's struggling with the typical young person issues. He's got over 200 yards passing, but he also has 3 picks. So it's typical growing pains. Friendship is probably going to load the box and try to stop Ashton Jones, and that's going to be the key. If Ashton Jones gets going, then it could be a close game.
Yep, totally agree on that one. I think Ashton Jones still has a pretty good night, but I do think that Friendship Christian really is out to make a statement, and this is the week for them to do just that. Next one is Independence at Centennial. Now, this one is important for Centennial to really kind of see where they are in that region. I mean, if they want to shake things up, this is a good game to do it. But we're all taking Independence in this one, and I think and after losing to CPA in Week 1, Independence bounced back in a big way over Treasant last week, shutting them out 34-0 on their home turf. They get the road game at Centennial, but I still think that Indy is starting to find themselves offensively in Scott Stidham's offense, and I think that they'll have a pretty good week. But Centennial's going to be – they're going to be some troublemakers in this region, I think.
Yeah, I believe they can be for sure, especially towards that 3 and 4 seed spot. But I see Independence as the 2 seed out of this region. Really like how they got back to the basics and getting Trey Hartwell going on the ground. I like the Eagles to put up quite a bit of points here in Week 3 and get a good road win over Centennial.
I think this game comes down to 2 players, and one of them is the one Cam just mentioned, Trey Hartwell. I expect a heavy dose of him for Centennial. On the other side of the ball, Xavier Haddix. He needs to have a big game. He has 11 tackles in 2 games and 3 sacks. If he can contain Hartwell and get after the quarterback, Centennial's got a good shot.
Next one on our list is a Thursday night clash that you guys will both be at, Watertown at Westmoreland. And we talked about this region quite a bit early on in the season, a key game in that region. Everybody but yours truly is taking Watertown. I'm going to take Westmoreland just because, I've kind of pushed them a little bit. I'm going to stick with them for now. I think this is the game where they make the statement defensively and maybe finally get to 20 points on offense. I think that's what they're going to have to do to win more games than they did last year. Their defense will be there, but can their offense get to 20? They didn't do that last week against Macon County. They lost 20-15. With Westmoreland games, I think it's a race to 20 almost every week. If you get to 20, you're going to win. If you don't, you won't. And that's just kind of how I think about Westmoreland right now. Guys?
This is a defensive game. I don't know that either team gets to 20, to tell you the truth. If the Eagles can't block Noah Clemens, the big defensive tackle for Watertown, then they're going to have a tough night. He already has 21 tackles, and they're a very opportunistic defense. Garner Cresswell had 2 recovered fumbles and a pick 6 over Gordonsville. So, it's a get after you type of defense, and Westmoreland, of course, they're all about defense. I see this as being maybe a 15-14 type of game, but I do expect Watertown and KK West, to kind of push Westmoreland, and I just think the Purple Tigers have more firepower.
Can I put you down for that score, 15-14?
Sure.
Well, you can put him down for his, but you can't put him down for what I'm about to say. So you can't put me down for what I'm about to say.
Oh, okay.
I
Yeah.
think Watertown makes another statement this week. Looking at the last 5 matchups between these two teams, Chris, you mentioned a race to 20. Well, the problem is Westmoreland barely scores against Watertown, period. The last 5 seasons, Watertown has outscored Westmoreland 165-12. Westmoreland's only scored 2 touchdowns in 5 years against Josh Hackett's defense there at Watertown. They had a really great performance last week on the road against Gordonsville. KK West showed that they're a totally different team than what we've seen the last few years. They've been a finesse team, going spread, throwing bubble screens, throwing quick slants. They are a straight power football team this year. I look for them to surprise a lot of people, and I like them to win by like 3 touchdowns on the road at Westmoreland.
All right. All right, sounds good there. Next up, the backyard brawl between Blackman and Riverdale. We're kind of split on this one. Scott, you and Tom have taken Riverdale on this one. The rest of us are on the Blaze in this week. Scott, what do you think about this game for Riverdale, first off?
Yeah, I just think this test is going to be a test for Riverdale to really see where they're at. The two teams they've beaten aren't the caliber of Blackman, but I guarantee you this week they'll be pressing onside kick receiving drills. But no, I really like Braden Graham. I like him to spread the ball around, and I really like the running back Isaiah Verser. I think that they're defensively, I think they can slow down Blackman and do enough to win this game.
Yeah, it comes down to whichever tackle and probably tight end that is assigned to blocking Caleb Herring here in this game. If Blackman can keep him from getting to the quarterback, I like the Blaze to put up enough points. I just love their offense more than Riverdale's right now. Riverdale's offense struggled to put up points against Franklin, which Franklin did prove to have a pretty good defense, as Page had a hard time as well. I believe Blackman's been tested in 2 games before this, a little bit tougher test than what Riverdale had in their first 2. I like the Blaze to outscore the Warriors.
I do have Blackman winning this game. I think it's a close one, but a key point to make here, no Ben Marshall for the Blaze. He is suspended for 1 game because of unsportsmanlike conduct penalties last week, so he will miss this game against Riverdale. Next up, Pope Prep at Father Ryan, the Bishop's Cup rivalry game that we see every year. Tom has Father Ryan, but he's not here to defend himself, so I'm thinking this is going to be a close game. These two teams tend to play that way, but Kenny Minchie's on another level right now. He's starting to really find himself this year. Josh Maylander is a big target for him for the Knights, and I think if those two hook up enough, I think Pope Prep does win this game, but I can see Father Ryan certainly keeping it close for that one. Guys, chime in if you will.
I think Kenny Minchie's going to have a big game after what Father Ryan did to Brentwood last week, allowing them 1 yard rushing on 20 carries. But Kenny Minchie is the quarterback that can do it. He is a upper echelon quarterback. He's got really good targets. I think that they are just too rounded that Father Ryan will have difficulty stopping them and scoring enough points to stay ahead of them.
Yeah, I just really love Pope Prep's offense, the way that they spread the ball around. Kenny Minchie is, I'm not going to say he's the best quarterback in the state because of the sheer number of great quarterbacks in the state of Tennessee this season, but I do believe he's the best passing quarterback in the state as far as pure passers. Really like Kenny Minchie in that offense. Father Ryan, great performance last week against Brentwood, big rebound for them after getting beat by East Nashville in week 1. But I believe this Pope Prep team has cruised through the first 2 weeks. They know it's time to turn it on. I like Pope Prep in a close one.
All right. On to the next page. McGavock and Cane Ridge, another Thursday night battle. This is McGavock's region opener. Cane Ridge, 1-0 region play. McGavock, much improved this year, but we were all taking Cane Ridge in this one. Guys, is this the week that McGavock does kind of prove itself to be more than just a 4th place team?
Chris, you mentioned it right there. If we had an upset special, on this show, this would be one that I would definitely consider. Anytime you have a guy like Demetrius Bell on the outside, Not very many kids in high school across the country can guard that guy one-on-one, much less just in the state of Tennessee. If Cane Ridge can slow him down, I like them to win pretty comfortably.
Yeah, if I know that Burnett and the McGavick offense is a run and shoot type of offense, but Cane Ridge is a team with speed. They can manage stay up with McGavick. I think that I think Goodlow has a good night running the ball. Um, of course, Siobhan Abdullah's got Mose Phillips on the outside. I just think there's too much speed on the Cane Ridge side. I think that Bell is going to get his catches, but I just think that Cane Ridge has just got too much firepower.
All right. Next game on our list is FRA and Davidson Academy. This is where I will be Friday night with Ty Clark III for FRA. Going to check him out after 2 very good weeks to start for the Panthers under Justin Geisinger. However, we are all taking the home team in this one, Davidson Academy, to bounce back after that loss to Boyd Buchanan last week. Now, Gary Rankin's teams do some crazy things to opponents, and I fully expect Davidson Academy to bounce back after that week 2 loss. So, guys, chime in. What do you think?
Well, I think that we're going to find out a lot about both these teams in this game. I think FRA has played some opponents that they should have beaten, and they did. I think that Davidson Academy is a different animal. I think that Knox Roberts is a really good quarterback, but I think that that Davidson Academy, the Bears, will run the ball. I think that Gabe Chaney's going to have more than 1.5 yards carry, and I think he will. But they have got to find a way to get the ball to Cortland Simmons in space. They do. I think it'll be a long night for the Panthers.
I agree. Davidson Academy coming off a tough loss at home against Boyd Buchanan. FRA coming off a big win against Silverdale Baptist. The Panthers really have to like where they're at 2-0 under new coach Justin Geisinger. But I just really like Coach Quinn and his experience. After a tough loss, he's the type of coach that can take that loss, turn it into positives, and make his team better. I look for him to show that this week. I like Davidson Academy.
All right. Next game up is Siegel at Rockville, a key game in that region for both those teams. If one of them wants that number 4 spot in Region 4 of Class 6A, they're going to have to win this game because Siegel off to a 2-0 start for the second straight year. Rockville was in the playoffs last year, off to a decent start so far this time around, but one of them is going to come out with a big edge in region play after this week.
Yeah, he's not here to defend himself, but I'll defend his pick for him. I'm sure the reason Tom picked Siegel there is the defensive performance the first 2 weeks by the Stars. Giving up 6 points against Green Hill, giving up 6 points against Laverne. Just something we did not see coming, honestly, was the Star defense. They get a whole lot tougher test this week in the Rockville team. Rockville has definitely a more explosive offense than Laverne. The Green Hill performance for Siegel is a little bit more impressive. Rockville's disappointed after some turnovers that pretty much decided the game against Smyrna last week. 3 pick sixes. Anytime you have that, your chances of winning go down drastically. I like the Rockets at home to rebound and defeat the Stars, but close, low-scoring game. I do like that Siegel defense as well.
Well, there may be a little underlying issue with Siegel. Their starting quarterback, Thomas Santel, went out of the game in the first half last week. I believe it was a hamstring. So if he can't go, Cordell Cagle will take over. Cagle did a pretty good job. He threw what turned out to be the deciding touchdown last week. They've got a really good running game with Christian Fletcher and Corey Sims. And they have, like you said, that really good defense. Sims is also part of that defense that's giving up 6 points a game. But Rockville, like you said, Cam, you give up 3 pick sixes and 2 fumbles that you fumble on back-to-back series that give Smyrna a short field. I don't care who you are, you're not gonna win with that kind of turnover. I look for Rockville to bounce back. I like them to. I mean, they got inside the 40, inside the 10, 4 times in the first half, came away with 3 points. I don't think that happens again to Brian Guthrie's team here. I think they come out solid, and I think that they actually win this game.
All right. Next up on our list is Brentwood at Summit, another one of those key region games in Class 6A and Region 7. Summit bounced back in a big way last week over Spring Hill. Brentwood with that tough loss against Father Ryan. Could be a low-scoring game between these two teams. And Reggie's taking Summit. And, Scott, if you want to defend him, go right ahead.
Well, Reggie's taking Summit, and I don't know if I can defend. I mean, honestly, I struggled with this game. I struggled a lot because I don't know who Summit is yet. The team that lost to Henry County or the team that won last week, really took it to Spring Hill last week. So I can't explain Summit other than the fact that Reggie thinks that Austin Harvey and Logan Frazier are going to dominate on that offensive side of the ball, and their defense is going to do what a Brian Coleman defense does to running games.
Yeah, the difference in competition. Summit played played some tough competition in week 1 against Henry County. 30-7 loss against the Patriots last week. They face a not a horrible team, but not a Spring Hill's kind of a borderline playoff team probably. But I just really like Brentwood and what they've done the first 2 weeks. They upset Blackman at home in week 1. Last week, tough loss at home against Father Ryan, 10-7. Really love what the Bruins have going on defense, on the defensive side of the ball. Kind of a bend but don't break defense. I think they do enough offensively to win a close one on the road at Summit.
I think it will be close. I honestly believe this is going to be a really tight game. It might be a fun game to watch if you get to see this one.
How that one turns out. Now that brings us to our spotlight game of the week, which is Macon County at DeKalb County. And some people might be a little bit mad with me this week, and I'm okay with that because I went a little bit different direction. I'm on the visitors this week, if only because I feel like what they're doing offensively is enough to get the job done this week. I may be regretting this pick, though. I think DeKalb County does play very well at home. It's a tough place to go win. And I could be sitting here with egg on my face next week.
And he has made his selection. And his selection is the Tigers of DeKalb County.
Well, Reggie's on DeKalb County. I'm the only one taking Macon County this week, so we'll see how that pick turns out. Let's go over our picks real quick before we head out. McGavick and Cane Ridge, we've all got the Ravens. We're all taking Davidson Academy over FRA. Tom's on Siegel over Rockvale. Everybody else on the Rockets. Reggie's taking Summit over Brentwood. The rest of us have the Bruins. I've got Macon County over DeKalb County. The rest are taking the other Tigers in this one. Here we go. DCA at Friendship Christian. Reggie has DCA. The rest are on Friendship Christian. We're all taking Independence over Centennial. I've got Westbourne. The rest of us have Watertown. Blackman goes to me and Reggie, and Cam as well. Scott and Tom are on Riverdale. And Tom's on Father Ryan, and the rest of us have Poe Prep this week. So, yes, we're kind of split on a lot of games. It should be an interesting week to see how these picks play out.
I don't think there'll be a whole lot of separation.
Yeah, and the big thing, guys, if your game wasn't one of the 10 that we mentioned here, you can find our picks for your game on our website at 615preps.com. Week 3 is the starting week for region games. There's too many big games for us to pick from. We picked 10 to talk about on here, but we pick them all. So check us out on 615preps.com. Should be a great week for high school football. And these are the games when it starts to count. Those non-region games that are, cross-county rivalries or, county border wars, that kind of deal. Those are fun to win for bragging rights. But this is when it matters to get into the postseason and have a shot at a gold ball.
Well said,
Very
Kim.
well said, Cam. Most picks will be out on our website on Wednesday, so make sure to check those out at 615preps.com. Before we get out of here, I want to thank our sponsors for this week, Miracle Auto Group, as the title sponsor for the Midstate 48 and the Player of the Week award. Also, Innovate Medical. They've got coverage of our Spotlight Series game between Macon County and DeKalb County this week. Drop us a line if you're interested in sponsorship. 615preps@gmail.com is that email address to get to us, or reach out to us on social media as well. We've got plenty of ways for you guys to reach out to us if you're interested. If you know somebody who wants to sponsor a game, hit us up. We will certainly have plenty of options for you. We can tailor it to your budget, however you like. So, something to leave you on for this week. One final word from both of you guys. Scott, I'll let you go first.
Oh, wow. Jeez. I didn't see that coming. No, Cam was pretty much said what was on my mind, which is big week this week for teams out there. This is what we cover this stuff for. This is the fun week. This is when all the rivalries start to happen and things of that nature. So if you get a chance, get out and see a game, support your local school, and like I said, have fun, enjoy it. It's high school football. It's meant to be fun. So enjoy it.
Yeah, I'll leave on this note for this show. Guys, there's a bunch of people that cover high school sports in the Midstate. A bunch. We have a small team here at 615 Preps, and what we do is something that no other team does that covers high school football in the Midstate. We give you content for free. When we are out on the road and we're at these games, if you see one of us, come up, say hi, tell us what you want us to work on. We need to know this feedback so we can improve our content for you guys. Do not be afraid to say hello.
Promise Chris won't bite.
Yep, well said. And I try not to. If you feed me, it's usually a little easier. Nachos are always a good bet. So. Sorry, I had to do it to him. But in all seriousness, thank you all for watching their shows and listening to our content and voting for Player of the Week, because all that stuff helps us A, get better, B, it helps us keep this thing free for you, and C, it's just a hell of a lot of fun. It really is.
And make sure you like and subscribe. That also helps on our.
Get us to 1,000 subscribers on YouTube, please, before the
That
season
is the
is
goal.
over.
Help us get there.
That's my ask. That's my ask.
Help us get there.
I don't ask for much, but that's my ask. So, with that, we've done all the damage we can do for this week. Hopefully, we'll have Tom Duggan back next week. He is a busy man at this time of year as well with his radio obligations. So, hope to have him back next week. For Scott Burton, for Cam Reed, I'm Chris Brooks. Thank you all so much for tuning in to the Midstate 48, powered by Miracle Auto Group. We will talk to you on the Scoreboard Show on Saturday, and again here on this show this time next week. Take care, everybody.
Reggie.